Welcome to the Saturday Warhammer War Room stream. Very, very excited to be here with my good friend, Rabid Wombat. How are you doing today, sir?
It was a slight bummer of a day. I found out my Curse City box is delayed, so it won't get here till Wednesday to the store.
Okay, but delayed, but still
yeah,
on
no,
its
way.
way.
It's still pre-ordered. If I really wanted to, I probably could have cajoled him into giving me one of the boxes they currently had in stock, but I have it. It's coming. The fun part is trying to pick it up maybe on Wednesday, because that is the same day as I get my first COVID vaccine shot.
Oh, nice.
So, hooray.
Awesome. Very good. Very good.
Looking forward to that.
Well, I hope it goes well. Do you know which one you're getting, or do you want to reveal it? You don't have to.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm considering myself lucky that I was able to get it to begin with. So
for sure, yeah,
yeah.
When I went, I didn't know what I was going to get, and it turns out I'm Team Moderna, so it's all good. Whatever they were going to give me, I was happy to take.
It very much boils down to I would like one, please. Yes.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know what's going on anymore.
It's all fine. It's all good.
This is very rapidly going to just turn into a stream of Scott talking to a black screen of myself.
It's happened before. It's okay. Yeah, so usually what we do on this stream is we go over some of the latest news and announcements from Games Workshop related to Warhammer this, Warhammer that, and then we'll talk about some specific things that you have been involved with and what you like to play and do. And yeah, air disc. Wombat, your camera decided that you must have wanted one blackout, please.
Look, before this even started, I set up everything. Logitech worked great, and then when I started up, it's like, okay, I got like 15 minutes. Let's make sure everything works right. It literally displayed a almost pure black image, and if I held my hand like 2 inches in front of the webcam, I could see it in the pan. And there.
Perfect.
Welcome to my day. Hi. Yay.
Wow.
Quick, let's just hurry up and go through this before this thing actually just.
Okay, it's all good. It's all good. All right, so I'm going to add to stream, and we're.
just leave that up. Leave that. Ignore me.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, at least we can still hear you. We'll see what happens.
That's okay.
It's all good. All right. So yes, today is Saturday, which means that it is pre-order day at Games Workshop. So here are all of the magnificent, wonderful things that you can go out and spend your money on today. Now, you won't get it today, but you can order it today. So one of the boxed games is Warhammer Underworlds. Wombat, have you played Warhammer Underworlds?
I tried once and I did very badly.
Okay.
Part of it, I think, is just it is radically different than any Warhammer product. Any of the traditional Warhammer, even Age of Sigmar, 40K, even Kill Team, it works differently.
Okay.
I was very bad. I will say one interesting point about the Underworld boards. They are the correct hex size to use with Aeronautica Imperialis.
Oh, that's cool.
It is a useless fact, but
well, I mean, if you had multiples of those things, you could. Yeah, could you play? I guess you could. You could play a game on one game on the other, or vice versa.
Yeah, you could probably do some very creative. You're flying over a city or through some chaos strewn thing.
Yeah,
so you could potentially do some really cool things with it. It's just random thing I tried out because I had it and I had an Aeronautica Imperialis thing out at the time, and I was like, I wonder if this fits.
Sure, yeah. See,
it did.
I have never tried this game, so I can't speak to it. I am kind of intrigued though, this new 2-player starter, because you get everything you need to play, and then 2 little. What are they called in this one? They're not war bands. They're
no, I believe they're war bands. I believe.
Oh, are they war bands in this one? Okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to rush out and buy this, but it does seem like a pretty cool way to get in. You've got these creepy skeleton wraith things. I like the one with the drum. He's the musician of the group.
Yeah, I believe this. It looks very similar. I bought the original Warhammer Underworlds box set. This looks
Okay.
just like it, but some slight differences because I believe this looks like the range set of Sigmarines. So,
Right. Yeah. They'll update the models as they go because you got to get the latest models.
Yeah. Or at least
and then of course,
ones.
right. And then they've got all the other crap. Now we've got these vampires, which everybody is so excited about these vampires. And again, these models look absolutely amazing. There are vampires popping up in, they're in Curse City, they're in this. We're going to have more for Age of Sigmar. So lots and lots of cool undead if that's what you're into.
Everyone enjoys vampires.
Yeah.
Just because if for nothing else, it's different. And also then it gives people hope that they're going to bring back other armies they may have had previously.
Yes. Lots of people. So if you're new to all of this stuff, Warhammer Fantasy was a game that was around for many, many years, and it had lots of really interesting factions, and a lot of them are no longer currently available for any of the games that exist right now. And there's always the question of, will they come back? In what format will they come back? And so these are definitely some cool references to some older factions.
And as noticing Bert showing up in chat, I was about to say, go ask Bert what he thinks about bringing stuff back.
I'm sure Bretonia is next. I'm sure it's next. They're going to get right on it. There's merch now for a bunch of Warhammer stuff. So when a new faction comes out, oftentimes there'll be some shirt designs. So if you're into that, you can check that out. There's video game stuff. Blood Bowl. This is actually really interesting, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in just a minute. But there's a new book coming out for Blood Bowl called, right here, it's called Death Zone. And it gives you, typically what they do with the Blood Bowl releases is they come out with a boxed starter, and they did this for the new edition. And then you can buy your team separately. And then they come out with these books every so often. And these books give you updated rules, additional ways to play, and just like a bunch of random, really silly crap for Blood Bowl, because that's the kind of game it is. But this one has an entirely new way to play Blood Bowl, which I'm very excited about. And then here's a separate pack for it called Sevens. So this is essentially it's a slightly scaled down game of Blood Bowl. You only have 7 players on your team on the pitch, and the board is even slightly, the pitch itself, the playing field is slightly smaller. So I'm intrigued by this, and it might be good for streaming at some point. We'll see.
There we go. Now I'm back.
Okay.
I'm assuming that now that you describe it, it sounds like they're taking the, lack of a better term, the rugby approach to the game.
That sounds
since Rugby Sevens is a smaller, faster version of traditional rugby. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, cool. I believe Rugby Sevens is officially an Olympic sport now.
Oh, okay.
So it's one thing when people say Blood Bowl is just like football but different. It's probably, in the grand scheme of things, it's probably a closer analog to rugby, except for forward passes. So
interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that much about rugby. So
it's okay. I don't either. It is random, useless rugby facts that I know of.
Sure. Okay. And then in the starter for this latest edition of Blood Bowl, now you can buy these teams individually. So the new Orc team with these really cool new models, and then Varag, Ghoul, Chewer, and there's been a model of this guy before. This was an updated one. Dice for them, the whole works. And then the really fancy humans with all of their plumage. So if you're into that,
you gotta be fancy. Someone has to be fancy.
Yes. And again, a new version of Griff Oberwald, and there have been models for this guy before as well, but not with wings this large. I don't know if that eagle is optional or if that's part of.
I'm assuming it's probably required.
It should be. And then, of course, the requisite dice and cards and all the other junk. You can even get and referees, of course, because Blood Bowl is all about following the rules or breaking the rules according to the rules for breaking the rules. Very important. Adeptus Titanicus, and again, we're going to talk about this in just a moment as well. A entirely new Titan. It's the War Master Titan. There's no there's no full size model of this, but it's the biggest. It's even bigger than the Warlord. We'll see a little. Like I said, we'll talk about a little bit more information about that in just a minute. And then some other stuff for Titanicus, which is a game that's very expensive. It looks cool.
Yeah, it very much. I would like to. Part of me wants to get into Titanicus. The rest of me knows that is a very, very, very bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the models are really cool because again, it's like we talked about last week. It's all of the knights and the titans in a scale that's about this big for the titans and about yay big for the knights. Actually, the knights are about the same size as a Primaris Marine, which is really cool and some people have figured out you could potentially swap parts to give your Primaris Marines like cybernetic legs and stuff based on the knight models, which is an interesting idea. But yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, I think the only thing I've looked at with Titanicus is that allegedly it's on the same scale as Aeronautic Imperialis. So
yeah,
intermixing models with that would be really fun. The problem is the movement scale is where
sure.
it's going to is where that would be a big issue.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder if people have. I'm sure
someone's figured it out. Someone somewhere has figured that out already.
So, how to mix the two games together so you're playing with everything.
Yeah, someone has to have. So
yeah. There's so like I said, we'll go through some of the articles that came out this week real quick. This one was really cool. So there's Warhammer Age of Sigmar Broken Realms. So it's a new thing that's coming, and they're showing off some of the models that are going to be coming out along with it. And there's a father and son witch hunting duo, or father and daughter witch hunting duo, even better. I was immediately reminded of the Bloodstones from Marvel Comics. If you're familiar, Elsa
No.
Bloodstone. She was in Next Wave, and then wait, am I thinking of the right? I don't know. It's been a long time since I read any comics.
I have no idea. I've been out of comics for an incredibly long time. So
okay.
Even then, I was not very much into them.
Okay. So anyway, there's this cool witch hunting older dude, and then the daughter with the crossbow, which is pretty rad. So cool new models. And again, following along the trend lately of a lot of the Age of Sigmar stuff being undead and people who hunt the undead.
There are always worse combinations. So.
Yeah. Okay, so moving back into the future, but getting a little bit of references to fantasy stuff. We have the new Beast Snaggas for Warhammer 40k, and we saw a little preview for this and this model, but now we need a little bit more information, but not too much. So this is a new sub-faction of orcs that are coming. Black Cavalier, thank you so much for the 6-month subscription. I appreciate it. So we're getting orcs that are a little bit less technologically focused.
Yeah, and I could have sworn there was technically already an orc faction that already kind of shunned technology. Mm-hmm. I can't remember which orc faction, but I vaguely remember that there was at least one that was more traditional.
Yeah, the snake bites. Yeah. So these are. So
this is even beyond that level of regression. I'm assuming then. Yeah.
So they've got more bestial, more savage type aspects to them. The model itself looks great. So we'll see. I mean, it looks like there are little rockets on his crazy weapon. There's a red button on his spear. So we'll see what that does, whether that propels just the spear forward or the entire thing. If you look down this what is it, a squig hog? It does have a robotic leg. So there are some elements of.
It's just enough. They put just enough shiny things on it so people don't go, why can't I use this in Age of Sigmar?
Yeah, exactly. And it says, actually, it's rare to find an orc who wouldn't appreciate how you can make a humble spear louder and killier by adding rocket boosters to it, which definitely sounds appropriate. Peg Junk, thank you so much for 11 months of subscription. Awesome. almost a year there. We get some new artwork for it. So yeah, and it says appreciation for the old ways and their disregard for more complex Orky technology leads many of the Snakebite clan to become beast snaggas. So yeah, so we'll see.
So yeah, so it's even more sub-factiony than the original. Okay, it's a way to go.
Yeah, and I'm just really wondering, like, is this going to be? I mean, are they going to do an entire line of models for this? Are you going to be able to mix and match? I mean, I have to imagine, and as you said, because there are technological aspects even to this model, I assume you'll be able to play regular boys with these. You won't have to get entirely new models for everything.
Yeah, you would hope so, but this is also Games Workshop.
True.
So I think this almost may be kind of a backdoor way of bringing in, the regular orc orc type models from Age of Sigmar to be like, hey, you just want to run guys with axes and swords and whatnot. Just bring your regular old orc guys.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool. Yeah, using Oryx as knobs and things like that, which I know people already do, and they'll convert things back and forth. But yeah, as it says, stay tuned.
Yeah, it's very curious. It's a curious way to go because it implies if you have an entire sub faction of a sub faction, essentially you have one model to support it. So it's
so far
to me it's very curious, but it's one of those curiouses where it's like, where is this going? I would like to see where it's going, if for no other reason to see what it looks like.
Yeah, and in that artwork that they showed, that was like the preview for all this. There was a little animation of like cave paintings, and so we saw things like this. But then there was a war boss in leading this group that had like really spiky, bony looking armor. So hopefully we'll get a model of that, or like you said, you could just use something from Sigmar.
That's what part of me is thinking that it's gonna probably be a Sigmar-esque model that's going to be coming out, and some interchangeability between the two.
Yeah, I mean, like Be'lakor, right? With just a couple of little things that you can swap out to make it fantasy or 40k.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, I am all for models with more flexibility and models that you can use in multiple games.
And because as you have said many times, you got to reuse those molds somehow. You got to maximize your profits out of them.
100%. Yeah. I mean, the Chaos Demon players are really lucky because they can run their things in both games. So, hey, I mean, if there's orcs that you could do the same, that would be great. Okay, so moving on from Beast Snaggas, and yes, so like we said, there's new stuff coming out for Adeptus Titanicus, which is the smaller scale Knight and Titans game. There's a whole new book, but what we're really excited about is the War Master pattern, Heavy Battle Titan. This thing is ridiculous. It's covered in stuff and armor and weapons.
And I don't even think has this type of Titan ever been even actually mentioned in previous lore?
I don't believe so.
Because to me, I was like, I don't think I've heard of this one before.
Yeah, I think this is a new invention, which of course is a retcon.
It's new.
Right, exactly. it's new that you can buy it, but it's been there all along in the lore. We just never mentioned it before. Because there's no Imperator Titan model of any kind, unless was there one of those in Epic or anything?
I don't. Well, there may have been one in Epic from stuff that I just roaming around. There may have been one.
Yeah, because
it could very easily have been something that someone kit bashed for.
That's true. Yeah, because like I talked about, unfortunately, I never did play Epic, but I believe that the Imperator is supposed to be the biggest of all of the Titans. But again, they keep changing stuff, so that might not even be.
It's also the silliest looking.
Right, with like an entire city on its back.
Yeah, no, it's like it has the most ridiculous castle-like emplacements on it. It's just
which is cool. Okay, so they showed off that model briefly, and then they did a separate article on 6 details you might have missed, and this one is a lot of fun. Because there's a lot of detail to this. I think this model is going to be probably about this big. Because if the warlord is about knight size, this one is bigger. Okay, so here are the details. More weapons. Now, yes, if you look really closely, there are just a ton of little tiny weapons everywhere. Down below, we'll see what the actual top of this thing looks like. It's got multiple faces, of course, because everybody loves that. More weapons. The shoulders have just like the longer you stare at these pictures, the more missiles and guns you see, and they're like recessed under the armor plates. It's insane. This is what the top of it looks like. So there are all these void shield generators. We haven't talked about that a lot, but in Warhammer 40k and going back to the Horus Heresy, again, there's all this lost technology, but some of the really interesting stuff is these void shields and how they work. And they've worked in various ways for the actual games over the years, but they're essentially shield generators, and you can move them and rotate them. So it's kind of like Star Wars shielding.
It's probably the closest analog you'll get. Because Star Trek shielding has a lot less science behind it. They just exist.
Yeah, they just turn it on or turn it off.
Yeah, they're either there or not. Don't think about how they work. Which always strikes me funny when people start going, no, how this would work. No, this how this would. It's like you're arguing about things that have, even Star Trek, the actual physics behind it is vague at best.
Yeah. Yes. And like I said, I've talked about this before, that I'm in all of these Facebook modeling groups, and inevitably someone will show off a model of like a Star Destroyer fighting the Enterprise D, and then it just spawns
it just evolves
millions of comments
real fast. So.
and they're always like specific examples that people point to of, okay, in this one episode of The Next Generation, the Enterprise had to destroy an asteroid that they said was this big, and so we can actually calculate the joules of a phaser and blah blah blah, and then they use that to apply to other things. It's like, stop it, just stop it, don't do that.
It's the amount. It's one of those things where it's like, it's a TV show, man.
Yes, and then I love the one that says that in Star Wars, if their most powerful weapon is a turbo laser, a laser can only be so powerful, and blah 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 blah. Yeah. And then the other side is, well, it's called a turbo laser, but it's actually something else. It's like, just stop it.
As a wise science fiction show once said, if you're wondering how he eats and breathes and other science facts, just sit back. It's a TV show. Just sit back and relax.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so finally we get sizes, and again. So down here, this itty bitty little guy, that's a knight. So that is what I've been working on. So that's this guy. That's the itty bitty teeny tiny one. And then going up from there, we've got the Warhound, the smallest of the Titans, the Reaver, the Warbringer, which is the most recent new addition, the Warlord, which is traditionally the biggest thing that you'll see around, and then this epic size War Master. And then of course we get a shot with the actual models. So again, on the left hand side, if that Warlord is the size of that knight, then we're talking somewhere around this size. It'll probably be, we haven't heard, actually
it's got to be like $150, $200 easily.
Yeah, I was just gonna say about $200, but and then yes, even its knees have guns. I love that that's the final thing you might have missed about this new model. Yep, knee guns.
Yeah.
Sure.
I hate to say it, but this looks like someone gave this like the basic idea to like a grade schooler and said, have fun. And they just drew guns everywhere and handed it back. And Games Workshop said, this is the best idea ever, and sent it out to be modeled.
Now I do like so when you read about these Titans in the books, it does explain how like there's the superstructure for these Titans. It's so big, it's so massive, and you have to have crew for this thing, and they need to get around inside and fix things and reload things. So there are tons of walkways and staircases and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, the legs will actually, down near the bottom, there are hatches that will open up and people can walk in and start climbing all the way up to the top. And
yeah, no, that was actually a point in the Titanicus story about Titan combat, where a Titan was literally boarded by Skitarii, and there was legitimate combat inside, like normal, like going through hallway combat, and that was a warlord Titan. So
yeah, that would be cool to build a 40K ish scale battle arena that was inside of a Titan.
I'm not listening because it's going to give me an ideas. I'm not listening. I'm going to just. What's next?
Right. If you happen to live in England and Wales, you can go shop at actual Warhammer stores in 2 days, which is crazy. They've had some different openings and closings than those of us in the United States. And depending on which state you're in. But it's always nice with these because they always give us some new artwork with all of these announcements, which I think is really adorable. They've got these people just cranking out drawings based on what the new security and the new safety issues are.
The artwork for just their generic like store opening stuff are always just really neat pieces. So
it would be really interesting if after all of this, when we get back to a real world, if one day they put together like an art portfolio of all of the COVID related art that was made. Well,
even like just the regular art for basically like store openings is even then still pretty cool.
Yeah. The it's more cartoony, but it's great. So much detail. Okay.
But yeah, even the local Warhammer store that I normally go to is still you can go inside, but you cannot walk around inside. You basically ask the guy behind the counter, I would like this. Do you have it? And they will say yes or no. And that's it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and again, depending on where you are, certain places are a little bit more open than other places.
They should probably just stick with being kind of close, but that's just my opinion. Your mileage may vary.
Yes. The regimental standard, talked about this before. It's a humorous in-universe. Essentially, it's like a newspaper for the Imperial Guard. Typically, it tells you how best to die for the Emperor. This one is no different. It's pretty great. It's all about how you as a human, you're okay, but if you were lobotomized and your brain was put inside a robot, you could be even better. Which is awesome. I love this.
Yeah, to me, it is very much the tongue-in-cheek. You sit there and go, it's humorous, but it's a thing that someone would actually make in the Warhammer 40K universe.
Yeah, and of course, metatextually, we're talking about like just horrible things that are happening to humans every minute of every day in the Imperium of Man. But you gotta laugh at it. You gotta have a sense of humor about this stuff.
Yeah.
I like how it says, some of you may be concerned that this process can result in the loss of unimportant biological features like free will and knees, but rest assured that the increased durability and potential to carry heavy weapons into battle will render you more able to serve the Emperor than ever before. So yeah. And yeah, why have a puny lasgun when you can have a giant cannon?
Well, on the actual plus side, Cataphractoi are nothing to sneeze at. They are...
That's true.
Incredibly strong units.
Okay. Oh, so here's the article that's specifically about sevens. So Blood Bowl is great. We've talked about it a lot before. If you were watching Hyper RPG right before the pandemic really kicked off things here in the United States, we did what, three episodes of Blood Bowl? I want to say 3 or 4.
Yeah.
We had a great time doing it. I really hope that we can do it again one day in one form or another. But there are a lot of rules in Blood Bowl, and it's made so that now I haven't played the new version. From what I've seen, it's better than the previous version. Some of the things are a little bit more streamlined, sort of like the transition from 7th edition 40K to 8th edition. Fewer tables that you need to look at to figure things out. But even so, there are a lot of rules, and it's the idea that there's all of this crazy complexity so that you fail more often, and it's funnier and it's sillier. Was it 3? Okay, Arsenal Roy. I trust your answer because I'm sure you did the entries for it on the wiki.
It's only been, I don't even, what is time?
Exactly.
That's all else. What is time?
So I am really excited, though, about this Blood Bowl 7s because, again, it is a slightly smaller version. Now, it's not, for those of you who may have seen, if you've gone to a Barnes & Noble or, again, in different countries, they have it in different stores, but in, oh, hey, Chovexani, we love our lurkers. In Barnes & Nobles here in the United States and in some other stores in other countries, Games Workshop releases small, like really small boxed games that are related to their larger games. I talked about this a couple of months ago when there was some new releases. But for that, there's a Blood Bowl related game called Blitz Bowl. That is not this. So with this, there are now 3 different ways, technically, of playing Blood Bowl. Those Blitz Bowl is like, I think it's like 3 or 4 people per team. It's like a very small thing just to get you into like, hey, this is fun football combat stuff. But this is actually Blood Bowl, just with some slightly different things. There are different rules with team building here. Essentially, it's the same cast of characters that you can put on your teams, but fewer of each specialty. So, for instance, if you play a Blood Bowl team and you buy the Blood Bowl box, a team box, which is $35, you technically can't play all of the different varieties because you don't get enough of each of the specialized players. But one box will give you everything you could possibly need for a game of 7s, which is kind of cool. So there. And then as it says, like if you've got, have a couple of half-size Blitz Bowl Blitz Bowl, right? That's the other one. Yes. So if you buy Blitz Bowl games, you could play, anyway. But it seems cool.
So it's almost like Kill Team for Blood Bowl.
Yeah, and it's faster, it's smaller. It does use a smaller pitch, so you'll need to get one of the new pitches or figure out how to convert one of the larger ones, like tape off areas, something like that. Slightly simplified rules. Again, easier to build your teams. It uses copper instead of gold. One of the really ridiculous things about Blood Bowl is when you build your team, it's everything. The currency is gold, and everything is in millions of gold. Which, again, like you could convert that down to just like 5 instead of 5 million, and it would play the same. So I'm excited that this one. Besides the point. Yeah, it does sound more exciting if you're paying 5 million for something rather than 5, but that should help. Just paying copper instead of millions of gold. And then and then there's still ways of advancing and. Keeping score of, if this player, got a touchdown in this game, then you can add points and then increase that player's ability for the next game. Cool stuff like that. Yeah, I understand Zardoz, right? The franchise is worth millions, not nickels. For sure. And then, of course, some fun new games. Like you could maliciously apply a hangover to one of your opposing team's players. Good stuff. Last but not least, as far as the recent announcements and things, Games Workshop has partnered with not only the Astartes animator, but a bunch of other small independent animation companies to do things. We don't know exactly what all this stuff is going to be. Some of these are going to be TV shows in some way, shape, or form. Some of them are clearly just going to be online animation bits. But there's a new trailer for this thing's called Angels of Death, which is Blood Angels versus Gene Stealer cults. I'll play it. We don't need volume. It's okay. The animation it's all right.
Yeah, I think this is the guy who did the Hellbricks, something like that for the series. And so he has it's a very different animation style.
Yeah. Excuse the screaming in the background.
Someone's not fond of the style, but that's okay.
That's not from the video. That's from my house. I mean, it's something. This part looks cool. I like the found footage kind of stuff. So yeah, that's Angels of Death. So Blood Angels fighting Gene Stealer cults. We've got Guardsmen and who knows what else. It's
it's a thing.
I don't know. It's a thing. I wasn't super impressed by that trailer at least, but who knows? Who knows what the final product will be? Bottom tier army versus Gene Stealer cults. Oh yeah, screw those Blood Angels. They're no good.
Aren't they the ones that just steal everything from everyone else?
that's some of them at least. Okay, so Wombat.
Yes.
What was the first time you ever saw a Warhammer or Games Workshop product? How were you first introduced to this entire world? I
was first introduced back when the first Dawn of War Warhammer 40K PC game came out.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, because it was long enough ago where I can officially start forgetting things now. Back when LAN parties were a thing.
Sure.
You play the usual. We played StarCraft, played Age of Empires 2. Being nerds, someone said, "Hey, let's get the new Warhammer thing," and I was like, "Okay, whatever. We'll play games." And I was like, "Hey, this is fun. This looks pretty cool." So that was my first taste of Warhammer 40K. Was then. Years and years went by, and I think for pretty much on a lark, I think I picked up either the Ultramarines Omnibus, one of the Ghost Omnibus, or the first Soul Drinkers Omnibus. And then pretty much after that, I was like, okay, well, now I'm really into the books. And then Hyper started doing it, the miniature game, many years later. Not many years, probably 5-ish years later. And then I was like, hey, this actually looks fun.
It can be.
Yeah, and it can be. But, before that, kind of in between all of that was I knew there was the miniature side of things. But This was also during the time, pretty much at the height of Warhammer 40K players being that guy, where it wasn't so much... where it wasn't so much like, oh, there's that guy, at the, who plays it was literally the entire hobby sphere. If you were in it, it was a very negative connotation. So that was a concern of mine. Because it's like, I don't want to go try to learn something from a bunch of people who are jerks. That's not fun. But yeah,
that's fair.
Finally on a lark, I went to a store and was like, I'm curious. And got the usual spiel. I can't remember if it was my local. I have 2 local stores. One, they're both kind of equidistant from me. One was brand new at the time, so I think I went to the local store on the other side of the state line. Because the manager there is really cool. He's a super nice guy, and so I mentioned, it's like, I'm curious about getting into this. It looks like a lot of fun, but I know there's kind of that negative stereotype. And he very much was fairly blunt and said, look, if you're in my store and you have that problem, let me know, and I will tell them to stop or throw them out, because this is your hobby and you're supposed to have fun with it.
That's great.
And it was very much echoed when I went to the other store in the state that I live in. And that was being managed at the time, since it was a brand new store, which was also novel because at the time it was like one of only like 3 stores that actually had a bathroom inside, because most of them don't. He reiterated the same thing, where it's like, hey, no, if someone starts doing that, it's very much. It seems like very much like Games Workshop had that culture shift inside of itself to say, we know this is a problem and this needs to stop.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And we talk about how, yes, there are certain players in the Warhammer community who are whether they are that guy or WAAC, win at all costs, all sorts of interesting personalities in this sphere. I mean, that's not even getting into like the worst ones, but it genuinely does seem like a lot of. And I should say, so when you go into an official Games Workshop or Warhammer store, the employees are trained to, obviously it's a store, they want to sell things, right? They have quotas on how many start collecting boxes they need to sell, things like that. But at the same time, there are a lot of really genuinely nice people who work at these stores, who are very helpful, who want to build and foster communities and don't want these mutants there and ruining the community and the atmosphere especially for new people, because they know that that's going to turn somebody off from hanging out and getting into it long term.
Yeah, and so that's very much, at least from my experience, a kind of it no longer has that where someone comes in, it's like, oh hey, you're new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there is at the local game store that typically has Warhammer and everything else you possibly want. It's almost the opposite. It's to me, it has bad vibes. So it's very much, I can't sit there and go, yeah, they're being jerks or something like that. To me, it's just a very inner, this is not the world's most inviting place. And most of the employees here are just kind of like, just there.
Yeah.
So it's very much one of those, your mileage may vary, because I've heard stories about other stores where it's not like that, even a Games Workshop store. So
yeah, and it'll still vary depending on, I don't want that up right now, on where you go, and and just like, because I mean there are some places where they have made a community of people like that, of the not so great people, and they buy enough to keep the doors open, and they don't care. Hopefully, for all of you out there, if you go to a store, hopefully your local place is not like that, so you can have a better experience.
Yeah, but, it's very much, if that's what it's basically boils down to, what is the attitude of the store, of who's running it. If they don't care, chances are you're not that many people are going to have a good time, except for really weird hardcore people. But if you have a much more welcoming atmosphere, it tends to be a very much more, it's a more positive, and it's one of those, you give what you get. So yeah, at stores where things tend to be typically positive, you're probably going to have a fairly positive experience, because most of the people there are like, hey, let's have fun. That's how I got somewhat into Age of Sigmar. I mentioned it, and a whole bunch of people were like, oh, hey, wow, you're interested in Age of Sigmar. Hey, let's tell you about all this stuff. And, you need this, and if you're going to do this, and if you ever want to play a game, let us know. This is the time we normally meet at the store to play it. So you have super, super happy people. But yeah, even the store I go to, there's a guy who typically wants to win. Bad.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's not the most fun person to play against.
Yeah.
So,
I don't understand those people. I mean, winning is fine, but like, who cares?
Yeah, it's the only time where I cared about winning was when I was playing in the Kill Team tournament that's at the store, and I lost literally lost like 4 games in a row. So I literally at this point was like, I am not having fun.
Yeah,
I would like to get a win. The plus side is that the one win I got for that season was against the guy who wants to win at all costs.
Nice. Okay, well that's good. So what were your first armies?
My very first army is Imperial Guard.
Okay.
Because when I first got into it, I wanted something I understood. It was very much, this is a tank. This is what the tank looks like. This is what a tank does. This is infantry. This is what infantry looks like. This is what it does. This is an APC. It does this. It's like very clear cut.
Yeah.
This is a thing.
Sure.
This is what its purpose is, and this is what it does.
Yeah, it reminds you of things you've seen before in other games or other properties. Yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, I was doing people playing Arma 3, which is a computer game where people were trying to treat it like a realistic military stuff. So I was like, okay, I kind of understand this from all of this stuff that I've learned. So I understood it, and I knew. So I have an army. It's not the most full army. Most of my stuff is half completed. I know that's a shock to everyone. So that was my very first army. And one of my concerns with it was that, hey, guards have been stuck at close combat fighting. That's a shock to everyone. So I was like, I need something to counter that. Mm-hmm. So I was very much thinking, it's like, okay, I'm probably going to have to bring, this was like during 8th edition. So I was like, I'm probably going to have to bring some Space Marine friends. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to run a traditional chapter because honestly, from looking at them, they're kind of boring to me.
Sure. That's fair.
So at that point I was like, well, I could do Death Watch or I could do Custodes. And so I was literally looking at the books, just looking at the books, the codexes on the shelves, even though they're wrapped up. I was looking at the models. And I was kind of like, well, Death Watch seemed cooler because they're this very specific, they're the closest analogous I could think of is like they're literally SEALs. They're designed for one purpose, and this is what they do. Yeah. And when I got the codex and opened it up, I was like, oh, hey, these guys really are kind of these plug and play units where if you want to do close combat, you just do it. Oh, you want to have range stuff? Well, just do it. Just bring it along. The only knock I have on Death Watch at the time was that they had no integrated anti-vehicle support. Basically, none. They were very limited. But I was like, well, I don't care. That's why I have.
Right. You've got tanks for that.
That's why I have the guard. They have tanks and heavy weapon squads, and they have everything.
Yeah.
So I very slowly started to cobble that army together. Then Kill Team came out, and then I basically just almost bought a box of every single infantry unit that I could get.
Nice.
Just because I wanted to have I can try out whatever, and all I need is I just buy a basic box. I'm set. So I have just some Grey Knights hanging around. I've got some Mechanicus guys that I've just finally started working on.
Yeah, I remember you painted them not too long ago.
Yeah, the Rust Stalker is the last one that I finished, or the first one I finished. And then do I have anyone else? No, that was pretty much, and I think I have some Necrons just because they're there.
I was going to say, what do you hate aliens? I mean, come on.
No, it's very much the Necrons I got because they were kind of cool. I won't lie. Sure. Necrons and the regeneration ability is cool. So then after progressing through all the kill teams, I eventually came back to the Custodes and went, I almost got these guys. And then after kind of reading up and looking at the stats and hearing about them, I was like, this seems pretty cool.
Yep.
And then I also looked and said, well, if I'm going to build an army, what's it going to take? Nothing. It takes absolutely nothing. It's like, okay, I'm sold.
Right. It's very, very few models.
It's like, awesome. Okay, I'm going to do a Custodes army because it's like 3 boxes. I'm done.
So I'm gonna bring up some artwork first. Let's see. Tools, options. Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know what it is that we're talking about, we'll go through. We're going to talk about the Golden Boys. Oh, and welcome Janelle and Andy. Andy, thank you so much for 9 months. It's a baby. How you doing? So yeah, so going from baseline humans in the Guard to these glorious we'll go through all the memes later, but these glorious champions of humanity, it's a bit of a jump, right?
It is. And the insane thing is that after you read the codex, you read some of the lore, and it's like, what? It's everyone goes, oh yeah, the Space Marines or all this stuff, and it's like, no, you read the codex for the Custodes, and it's like, these guys are insane. Yeah, it's just, almost literally straight up insane.
I like this one. That's a cool picture. Yeah. So how far back did you go in the lore to learn about these when you decided that this was an army that you wanted to get into?
I did. I literally was like, I was going to get Custodes. It was either Death Watch or Custodes after I get picked up Guard. I went Death Watch. And then I basically, after a long period of time, circled around because, oh, wait, that was part of it. I was going to buy some for Kill Team. And then after I looked at it, I was like, oh, wait, no, I was like, well, I kind of want to have a Terminator and I can take one Custodes. I was like, well, I just need to buy another box and I have, I have an army.
Yep. Yeah, and we talked about this a few weeks ago when someone in chat asked about if you want to get into Warhammer 40k and you want an army that you have to buy the least number of models to do, you can do knights and just have literally 2 or 3. I mean, obviously they're big, or these guys, and again, it's only a few more. Ruiner, thank you so much. 10 months subscription. Thank you. So Wombat, I know you showed your. It was on that same stream, I think, when you were painting and you showed your entire. Was it a patrol?
Yeah, I can.
Size?
Let me do the screen share thing just so I can bring up, because I have the official pictures of.
Oh, here I can remove that one.
Give me a second, because I have to stare around my ring light. My setup is very strange.
Whatever works. Whatever works is good. But yeah, essentially each individual model is so powerful and so expensive points-wise. To build an army, you need very few. Oh, here, I will add that. And there you go.
Yeah, and also for my hair, I have not had a haircut in now 14 months. I desperately want a haircut. I want to get a cut. It drives me insane. But soon. Yeah, this is quite literally, if you've got it up on screen, because it's hidden behind everything else, because my setup is once again strange. That's a 25 power level patrol. That's it. That is literally it's you buy 2 boxes of Custodian Guardians, the basic infantry, and they come to 5 a box. So you have some leftover ones, and then you buy a box of Terminators, and you can use that as a warlord. And that is quite literally a 25 power level army.
It's crazy.
So,
but and what I've found, because a friend of mine, Roy, who has been on this stream with me before, this is one of his many armies, and I've played against this army, and every time, like the shorter the game was, the better he did, essentially. Because I couldn't, if the game could go 5-6 rounds, I could probably kill off all of his units because there weren't that many. It was just focusing fire every turn. Okay, got to kill that one guy, then another guy, and it takes so long to get these guys off the dang board.
Yeah, no, it goes back to their stat line. I mean, you may have this is it. But the other thing you have to remember is that these guys are strength 5, toughness 5, I believe 3 or 4 wounds depending on the model, with a 2+ save and a built-in army 4+ invulnerable save. Yeah,
with stratagems that can make them even tougher in cases and all that other.
You have some annoying. You have all sorts of stuff to make it even more difficult to deal with. So
yeah.
Yeah. Also, these are the first models I've ever based as well. So.
Yeah, they look awesome. Yeah, you've shown the lava bases before, and they look really, really good.
Yeah, it was a learning experience. So.
And yes, Ruiner, get those Texas picks. I just came across a few of them myself, and they made me smile for sure.
I'll stop sharing for now because
okay,
that's them
too. Yeah. So what is the Adeptus Custodes? Now, there are different ways of pronouncing it. It doesn't matter. Do what you like. So you'll hear me say it differently than Wombat. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Banana Boys.
Okay. Thing. Exactly. It's all good. What's their job, right? Space Marines were made to go out on crusade and reclaim space for humankind, make the Imperium great again. But what are the custodians for? Go ahead.
The custodians are just straight up. They are, for all intents and purposes, the royal guard for the emperor, even though he is sitting on a throne dead. And the amount of silliness that they go through this is just straight ridiculous. Which also leads. I was double checking the lore stuff. There's technically a loophole. Some of them may actually be women. Because the lore states, even in the Codex, it says that they're taken from children of the nobility of Terra.
Right.
At near birth.
Okay.
It doesn't say like firstborn sons or just sons. It is literally just children.
I remember something about that, but then another section used like all male pronouns or something. But yeah, there was some vague question there. What it
is
could
an
be.
Open-ended thing where if you really wanted to, you could sneak in. But as opposed to the Space Marines, which are taken at youth, like teenage years, and they go through all the training and implanted. You're talking about literally infants who are then genetically reprogrammed to be what they turn into be, which is even a level of near absurdity than beyond regular Space Marines.
Yeah, because we'll talk about the differences between a Space Marine who's already a super powerful transhuman and what these people are, because they're in theory, at least the original ones, were individually DNA recoded by the Emperor. Now, obviously, he's not doing it himself, so there are new recruits these days, but I don't know exactly how that happens.
Yeah, it's literally from at least what the Codex says. It's literally kind of like, okay, noble people who wants to give up any kind of newborn infant, and they, some of them, me.
And they top out at 9 feet tall, so they're even taller and stronger and more powerful than an individual Space Marine, and that's sort of the deal with. So, well, yes, these guys they're the guardians of the Emperor. They're his bodyguard, but they're designed. Literally, because their DNA is rewritten. They're designed to be like the ultimate warrior, scholar, detective, individually, where Space Marines are designed to fight in squads and armies. So one-on-one, a Space Marine has no chance against one of these. In a squad, is probably 50-50. You need more than 5 Space Marines to have good odds against a single member of the Adeptus Custodes.
Yeah, I mean, in the fluff,
tell you a lot.
Yeah, in the fluff, they'll have it's like just a 5-man squad of Custodes go up against hundreds and hundreds of fill in the blanks. Chaos Force, whatever, and they will. It's like, we're all fine, and they're all dead. So.
Yeah, and so originally their job was to protect the entire palace, the Imperial Palace on Terra, as well as the Emperor. Some of them would also go out and be, like I said, emissaries or guards for other high-ranking officials and detectives. And so then, again, Games Workshop, the lore does change. Because at one point, the lore said that after the Horus Heresy and the Emperor was confined to his throne on Terra, well, they were pretty much just stuck there hanging out with him. In the last couple editions, they've made it like, well, most of them, but some of them are also out doing other cool stuff on behalf of the Emperor. Because if you're protecting the overall Imperium, you're also protecting the Emperor and Terra. So there are loopholes and ways of getting around that.
At least in 8th, there are now subunits that are supposed to go out and secure, they keep watch over and secure incredibly dangerous relics. There's the group that is literally supposed to be the emissaries of the Emperor. There is a literal bodyguard unit that goes out and supposed to protect people, which led to a very amusing story in the Codex where basically, I believe it was a guardsman lieutenant was set to be executed because he had done he basically disobeyed orders to do something.
Sure.
And literally, two of these bodyguards from the Custodes showed up and said, "No, he's under our protection." And as throughout these campaigns and as time went on, this guy worked his way up and became War Master for the entire Crusade.
Oh wow!
And then after they won, these two guys said, "Okay, we're done. Bye."
Good luck.
But the original execution order stood, so the commissars basically took the guy back out behind the tent and executed the orders. And then lastly is the Death Shroud, I believe, which is how I painted my Custodes. They are literally, it's like something really bad is happening. We're going to show up and we're going to basically just kill everything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and again, because they are so closely linked with the Emperor himself, they essentially act as the word of the Emperor. So one of the other ways that the more recent lore has freed them from having to be stuck on Terra is that they're also a lot of them are traveling with Guilliman and in the process of delivering new Primaris Marines, because most Space Marine chapters are so set in their ways that anything new, it's like, we're not touching anything new. We're automatically going to distrust that. But if the Custodes are there, they're like, no, this is cool. The Emperor says it's good. They're like, all right, we'll take them. And I think, is it true that there's never been one of these guys who's fallen to the taint of chaos? Because I know that there's never been, what was it? I don't think there has been.
I can't recall anything where someone has pointed out specifically an instance of someone falling to chaos. Because I'm sure if there was, everyone in the Warhammer universe would point to that one person to go, see, no, look, it can happen to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't believe so.
I don't think so, but who knows?
It's probably coded inside their brains where if they think about it, they'll explode or something.
Right. Exactly. They're if similar to Space Marines, they are effectively immortal as long as they don't get banged up too much in combat. To be a veteran, to be a custodian warden, you have to be a veteran, which means you have spent at least 500 years at the job, which is stupid.
Yeah, there's even one post where you literally are essentially like, the guards outside, guarding the British palace, who literally stand still for like 100 years.
Yeah.
Which is just stand here, look scary and we'll come back and get you eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
I don't even know if they technically get like, oh yeah, my shift is over, I'm going back in. No, they can actually just stand there for like 100 years.
Yeah, and they're all, so not only is each member custom DNA coded, but every bit of weapon and gear and armor is custom made for each one. There's this cool thing about their names. For every accomplishment they've done, they get an added name onto their list of names, and it's all written on the inside of their armor. So like Valorus has like 800 names or something.
Yeah, it's all supposed to be like micro etched on everything.
Yeah,
it very much is one of those things where if you ever thought that Space Marine lore was kind of weird and goofy, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, now they are a little bit limited as to, they essentially just have dudes, right? We've got a couple different weapon variations. We've got a couple different Terminator variations, and then a couple of vehicles. If you really want to get into the vehicles, you got to go Forge World and spend $1 million.
Yeah, don't remind me.
And then there are a few different versions of Dreadnoughts, because it is possible to wound a custodian enough that he's not immediately savable, so you got to put him in a walk-in sarcophagus. But that's and then a couple of jet bikes, and
a couple of actual flyers. One of them's a transport.
Yeah, and then that's pretty much it. So
it's your options for what to build are. You can essentially, there are 4 boxes of plastic Custodes you can buy.
Yeah,
everything else is Forge World.
Yeah. So it's not a lot. And then typically, so You can play them all by themselves, or you can play them as what are called the Talons of the Emperor. So they've sort of mashed together a couple of smaller sub-factions that are... I mean, again, you can definitely play Custodes by themselves, and they're flexible enough. In some cases, they're going to have a hard time just achieving certain objectives in a game. But you can mix and match them with like Sisters of Silence, which are cool. They're just basically anti-psychers. So that's
the main reason why you take them, is that there are no ingrained psychers in the Custodes.
Yeah.
So there is, in at least, even I don't know if there is fluff wise or lore wise, but in game there is, you basically, unless you take one specific relic, you cannot you have no psychic powers whatsoever. Yeah, and because they're so specialized, and each one of their warriors is so amazing on its own, they don't have a lot of ranks. There's the Captain General, who's in charge of the whole structure, and that is currently Trajan Valorus. Below him, there's a tribunate of 10, and 2 of them are like slightly higher than the rest of them, so they're in charge. And then then it just starts to break down into different groups of them. But basically, most of them are just sort of the same rank. Because again, they can operate in shield companies and larger shield hosts, but they're designed that anyone can go off and do missions all by himself and not really need a super big chain of command. Mel Pomino, thank you so much for resubscribing 4 months. Woohoo! Okay, so we can talk a little bit about, there are different types of Custodes, different chambers, as it were. RabidWombat, do you know the different chambers of the Custodians? Where to leave my codex?
Okay. Well, I took notes, so you don't have to memorize.
You took notes. Great. Thank you.
I took notes. Now, again, originally these were they're all just guardians for the Emperor. They're bodyguards. They can be farmed out to do some other work as well. So there are the companions. Those are specifically the Emperor's bodyguard. They don't leave his side. They hang out in the Imperial Palace. They're not going anywhere. Then there are the Aquiline Shields, and these are bodyguards that are farmed out for other Terran leaders, typically like the High Lords of Terra, sometimes Primarchs. Well, now they can be with Guilliman if they wanted to. And then we get... All right, Games Workshop. So, oftentimes, with something that Games Workshop puts out, they'll really latch on to the bullshit Latin, the bad, terrible Latin.
No.
For the Custodes, they decided that's not good enough. We're also going to bring in terrible Greek as well. And what kills me too is that it's a mix. Like, some of their stuff is Greek, some of it's Latin, and it's like, just pick one thing to be terrible at.
No, it doesn't sound cool unless you make all of it horrible.
Okay, so there's the Hekatonoi, which is, again, if you know any of the ancient languages, that immediately, it sounds Greek at least. And again, it is technically a Greek word that has been used for, it was a unit of armed forces in Constantinople, but whatever. So these are just like standard custodians, custodian guard. Gift sub, awesome, thank you so much. We love the gift subs. I remember when gift subs like first started to be a thing, back when I was at Geek and Sundry. That was a long time ago, as it turns out. So those are like the standard dudes. Then there's the Theranatoi, again, bad Greek. And these are the heavy weapons. So these cover the Terminators and the Sagittarium Guard.
I was about to say, heavy weapons.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, we don't really get that many options here.
Slightly heavier weapons, we should say. And we should talk about the technology of the Custodes. They do have access to a fair amount of weapons and just some technology in general that the overall Imperium does not have access to. partly because they're using equipment that is, in some cases, up to like 20,000 years old, right?
Yeah, I mean, if all else fails, I think their history technically starts around the time that they were supposed to destroy the Thunder Warriors.
Yeah,
to give you kind of the age range of how long ago Custodes have been around.
Yeah, they predate Space Marines. They were around well before the Space Marines even came about. They were helping out. Yeah, because I think they started it it was what, during. But I think did they come up before the Unification Wars?
And I think it would have been. It would have been at least during.
Or
because
during.
if you're going to be in charge of getting rid of the Thunder Warriors,
yeah,
you probably have to be around before that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so a very, very brief history of the Warhammer 40k universe. So the Emperor is human-ish, comes to power on Terra. There's a bunch of other minor warlords everywhere. So so the first thing he has to do is take over all of Terra, all of Earth. And to do that, he's got some of these guys, and he creates the Thunder Warriors, who are like prototype Space Marines, and they're super aggro, and they have built-in obsolescence.
Yeah,
especially in the form of, so as soon as the Unification Wars are over and the Emperor is in charge of Terra, he's like, "Hey, Custodes, go kill all those Thunder Warriors."
Well, I think also part of the problem was the Thunder Warriors like, "Hey, we're gonna die soon."
Yeah, they didn't really have. They realized that they were only built for this one purpose. They're like, okay, we're built to win this war. The war is over. Now what? Oh shit!
And then they were like, this is bad.
Yeah. So again, that's long ancient history. Okay, then there's the Cataphractoi Custodes, and these are the fast ones. So jet bikes and some of the other vehicles. Then there's the Epheroi, which are the spies, detectives, operatives, and yes, assassins. The Custodes have been known to go out and just straight up murder people that are bad for the Imperium.
So it's probably the bunch of the guys who passed the blood games, which is another point of silliness for the Custodes.
Yes, tell us about the blood games.
All right, the blood games is quite literally, for lack of a better term, the world's longest game of hide and seek. You are picked somewhat at random, and you are told to infiltrate and get to the Golden Throne. You are to break into the palace and do it. The blood games, because there's one going on typically at any given time.
Yep.
They typically last 50 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's like, why?
It's pretty silly.
Okay, and so the only time in the lore, and only thing I've ever found that kind of justify it is that when one guy actually succeeded, there was supposed to be some Drukhari assassin who was basically going the same way, and they went, "Hey," and killed him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I've read in the Horus Heresy novels, they touch on this a few times, and we get a pretty good description of one of them. I forget which character it is who's doing it, but it gave the writers a chance to explain how the Imperial Palace works and what is all around it, and how do people move around in that area. So that was kind of cool, but it was very, very silly.
Yeah.
And there had to be all of these excuses as to how an almost 9-foot tall human warrior could sneak around in all of these places too. And but it turns out there are these mutant creatures that they use for the work gangs around the palace. So he could pretend to be one of those for a while.
Yeah, right. Sure thing.
Basically.
I believe it.
Yeah. And then there are the Moratoi, which again is just, it sounds like death. So cool. These are the dead ones. So all of the Dreadnoughts, the Dankanatoi, makes no sense. And these were the ones just after the Horus Heresy that were actually sent to hunt down Horus-related people and chaos. I don't think we know what happened to them. Who knows? And then the Eyes of the Emperor, because it does happen that some of these Custodes, they reach the end of their functional lifespan, whether they are just too ancient, or they have some sort of infirmity, or they're cyborgs, and then they go into exile and operate in the shadows. Ooh.
Yeah, it quite literally is described as they lose a step. So they lose like a millisecond of response time, and they're like, well, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's too much time. I'm done. I'm going to go be a 9-foot spy.
Yeah.
No one will notice me.
And it does seem that that's one of those doors that Games Workshop writes in to lay like, oh, we could do something with that later.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
Yeah. And yes, Melpomeno, always add oi to the end, and it's Greek.
Yeah.
And then you can make some silly word out of it. Let's look at the models, because the models are super neat. And I said, it is true. I have, wait, I want to stop screen, reshare screen, reshare this screen. Which is the way to bounce back and forth between screen sharing. Okay, allow this screen. Okay.
While I'm thinking about it, let me go run out, just because there may legitimately be something that people may want to see as far as pictures of randomness that I've done.
For sure, yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I was just going to bring up the actual website.
Yes, but I have weird ones.
Sure.
Because some of us decided we don't want to buy.
Oh,
allegedly.
yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, please. Now, you will notice that just like when we talk about Space Marines and we look at official pictures, they're pretty much all blue, because Ultramarines are the poster child for Space Marines. But when you play Space Marines, you can play any color you want, whether it's an official chapter that exists in Warhammer 40k, or just make your own color scheme, etc. We like to talk about how just about every army is like that, where even though there are official, these guys look like this, you can kind of do your own thing. So even the Custodes, now typically they are the golden boys. That's one of the memes about them. But as written in the Codex, there are a couple of what do they call the different sub-factions?
Yeah, let me grab it, because I know the Death Shroud is one of them, because that's how I painted mine. They basically have black shoulder pads. There's the Shadow Watchers, who I believe are typically painted all black with gold accents.
Yeah.
The Emissary group is painted kind of a pearl off-white color.
Yeah.
Then
there's a cool one that has.
Then there's one more that's kind of boring as a group, and I can't remember how they're painted.
Yeah, there's one that has some blue, and there's one that has some purple, if I remember correctly. The purple one's cool. But anyway,
the Shadow Keepers have purple or black with purple accents.
Okay.
The Aquilon Shield are gold with purple accents.
So even within the actual lore and the what's presented to you from Games Workshop, there are different ways of painting these guys. So, for instance, if you were interested in playing Custodes and getting some of these models, and you're like, "But man, I don't want to paint everything gold with red accents," you don't have to.
Yes, you do.
And you don't have to. No, no, don't say that. You don't have to. You can. Again, there are some slight color variations that they propose, or you can just do your own. It's fine.
No, paint it the way you want to paint it.
Yeah, it's all good.
I won't lie. I almost bought a bunch of gold primer while I was there last, as in today, because I'm sick and tired of painting gold.
Yeah, and that's what people do. You can. It is possible just to spray these guys in gold paint. Obviously, do the other details. Do a wash on the gold, and then maybe touch up some edge highlighting, and call it a day.
Yeah, I mean the paint is Retributor armor in a spray can.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same color in the pot as you get in the spray can, so you can definitely do it that way. So looking through some of these cool models, like we said, there is the individual who is the leader of all of the Custodes, and this is Captain General Trajan Valorus. Why is he a Captain General? I don't know.
Don't ask questions. The answer is because
he's as cool as a captain and a general combined. I don't know. It's stupid.
I'm assuming it has to do. I believe it was the Dutch once upon a time who actually had, because what was it? The TV series Shogun had the leader of the expedition was technically a captain general.
Oh, okay.
Useless fact that I just now remember.
Cool. Well, great. This is a great model. As far as I've heard, this guy is just an absolute monster in 40K. So yeah. And yes, that is $38 for one miniature. He's actually sizable though.
You get used to it after you just get there's a point of time where you're just like, yeah, this is expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, if you're playing this army though, you only have to buy a few boxes.
That's right.
Bert says he hasn't reached the ultimate rank of general. I like that. Or is it Admiral General?
No, it would be Admiral General.
Okay, so then we get into some of the fancy ones. Where are the regular guys? The Custodian Guard squad.
Yeah, the weird thing is that most of these kits can be built different ways. So a lot of those are listed on the website are technically the same box.
Yeah, essentially it's double listings for the same box, but just to show you the different ways that you can build them.
Yeah,
and that happens with a lot of other stuff too. Yeah, you gotta kind of keep track of.
I'm pretty sure it's one of those things where it's like, we don't have a ton of models to put on this page. Just put them all there again.
Yeah. So these are the basic warriors, and you'll see there are a couple of different weapon variations. So Wombat, why don't you tell us about what kind of weapons are the Custodians known for using?
Overpowered ones. No. They actually have for these guys, you'll see guys with storm shields, which are now only a 4+ invulnerable save. Which they also grant you that -1, or basically they ignore, a -1 AP.
Mm-hmm.
Limited usefulness now, but I mean it has the potential of someone with shoot you with a -1 AP and your regular 2-up save. But they all have power weapons of some type. Of course, the ones with the shields have a power sword with, I believe, technically a two-shot pistol weapon.
Yeah.
And the guys with the spears, that is a rapid fire. Essentially, it's a power spear with a rapid fire bolter on it, and the bolter is better than the regular Space Marine bolter and does 2 damage.
Yeah. So if you look really closely, all of the sort of the large melee weapons, they also have guns on them. Yeah. So if you look sort of like down here, I don't know if this is going to actually get bigger. It's a little bit bigger. So you'll see there's a little bit of a barrel of a gun down at the base of the sword blade, and then behind the blade on the spears. So it's both heavy melee and shooting. So it can do anything.
Yeah, and considering that you get like 3 or 4 attacks, it's very much one of those things where it's like, you don't come fight me, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, this dude over on the left-hand side with the standard, that's a Vexilla.
Yeah,
and
that is also a pain in the butt to try to get on a model because the regular guys only can hold it in that one specific hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all of them hold their primary weapon.
Right. Of course.
It's a pain. Yeah, don't get me started.
Why make it easy? And what does the Vexilla do other than super annoying things for your enemies?
It does super annoying things for your enemies mainly. It's for lack of a better term, it's pretty much like the closest I can come up with is that it is like the traditional Roman, as the Romans would carry around. It is kind of the I lost my train of thought. The train derailed at the station. All sorts of people are dead in my brain.
So yeah, like a standard to rally the troops.
Standard, yeah, and I believe, and it does. There are 3 or 4 different kinds you could take in the game itself, and each of them do different things.
Yeah,
specifically, and a lot of them are morale improving bonuses. So
yeah,
also,
as you
really cool.
As you would expect, this army already has pretty good morale.
Yeah, no, it's mainly, I believe if you were to take a mixed army, you could technically give like
you can
it
help
improves
out.
the morale of like regular guardsmen and gives them like a 5+ invulnerable save or something like that.
It's crazy. They like the dude down in front, literally. He also has a big knife on his waist that he's reaching for. That's another special thing these guys get called a misericordia, which again is more
it's the annoying thing that gives you an extra attack just because you want to spite someone.
Yeah.
But in the lore, it's supposed to have all of this.
Mm-hmm.
The lore, it's another one of those. This lore is silly.
Yeah. It's like another badge of office. And
it's
showing that you're. Yeah. So then we've got these guys, the Wardens. And they're pretty snazzy.
If you wanted to hold a weapon with your Vexilla, this is the kit you have to buy.
Yeah.
Other than that, stat line wise, in game, they're pretty much identical. They count as an elite choice, I believe, and no one really knows why you take them other than they got a skirt.
Yeah. Well, they've got the axes, which are cool.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that it's the kit that comes with the axe. But of course, the Wardens in the lore are the next step up above your regular guard.
Yeah. Well, because they have that. They have a little bit of a robe. The more cloth they have, the higher rank they are.
Yeah, the cooler you get.
Yeah, true. Because where's the other one?
Because the next up is quite literally the Terminators.
Yeah, no, that's true. Right, and then there are individual captains you get. Let's look at Terminators.
And also the individual captains are quite literally just the box of guys. You just take one out of your squad.
Yeah. So now, of course, because we're talking the Imperium of Man, if you're at high rank, you're also going to leave your helmet at home. Because why would you have a custom-made helmet and then, wear it into battle?
I would like to point out, all of my guys have helmets.
Excellent.
Because that's... Also, the faces, most of them just look horrible.
They're a little weird. And that top knot ponytail thing is clear. It's not their actual hair.
No, it looks better with. Yeah, it not only that, you can see it better when it's at a different angle. So
sure, but yeah, essentially it's the same dudes in even tougher armor, which just makes them completely ridiculous.
And they have a grenade launcher on their wrist.
Yep. So even more attacks, more fighting ability. These guys are crazy.
And the grenade launcher is also crazy, because even though I think it's strength 4, it has like an AP of -3. So
sure.
It's just like
why not? Because why not? And yeah, obviously there's like tons and tons of detail in this stuff.
It's very much. I would not, if you're going to paint stuff, I would not recommend this as your first army. I'm glad I started off with like guardsmen and then worked my way up to these guys, because if I started with these, I probably would have become very mad at myself.
Although again, there are ways to do this that doesn't involve a billion hours of painting, because you could it's
very simple. You literally get the Retributor armor primer, throw some wash on it.
Yeah. And then you can even dry brush.
Paint the axes over. And you don't even need to dry brush. I tried highlighting these things. You can't tell. I mean, even taking pictures of them, which show every single flaw, you cannot tell. So when they say, do edge highlighting, it's like, no, why? You can't tell.
Yeah, I do love the grenade launcher is really cool, because you can see the grenades in the little the ammo hopper, whatever it is. That's pretty neat.
It's annoying to paint.
Sure.
It's very tiny.
In there? Yeah. So we've got Terminators, and then you can get the dudes with the Vexillas, the leaders, and then then there was a specific character that came in a 2-pack with a Sister of Silence, so they're pretty neat. Again, I
believe in the game itself, you have to take both of them at the same time.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah, they're a matched HQ pair, which is
got it. Annoying. Yeah. Man, that face.
Yeah, no,
that's... Oof.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. I'm sure somebody loves it. And then jet bikes. So jet bikes are another ancient technology, mostly lost in 40K. Not completely. There are some jet bikes that are still around, but jet bikes were definitely more of a thing back 10,000 years ago.
They are very much. Even though I went to go pick up my Cursed City box today and they didn't have it, I just had to buy something.
Oh,
So I bought jet bikes today.
Nice. And they come in a couple of varieties, but essentially it's well, if you're just dealing with Games Workshop and not going to Forge World, I think the varieties are just what kind of weapons you want to put on.
Yeah, it's basically you either put on the Hurricane Bolters or the missile launchers.
Okay.
No one cares about them because the meta says you spear everyone.
Yeah.
And they can take the daggers and just drive by dagger stabs.
Even more attacks. Yeah, so if you look down at the very front of these things, down at the bottom, you'll see little weapon barrels poking out. So those are the different weapons you can stick on there. And again, as we've seen with Space Marines, the only thing better than one bolter is slap another bolter on next to it, or another bolter after that. So we've got 2 sets of 3 bolters.
What burns besides witches? More witches.
Exactly. And these things are rad. There's even like a video game screen that you have to reach in and paint, or you could definitely paint these things. Paint the bike and the model separate before you put them together if you want to get to all of those details.
I did learn a fun fact when I was buying these because the guy at the store actually has an army of these. You can prime the guy. You can prime everything at once because the model attaches basically by the hands.
Oh, okay.
The hands are attached to the handlebar, so apparently you just take the torso part off and paint as needed.
Oh, nice. All right.
So, fun fact I learned today.
That's helpful.
Because the guy at the store is pretty cool like that.
Yeah. So yeah, you can zoom those around. Like I said, it's a slight difference between the 2 versions. I don't even know. There's something else you can do differently, right?
No, that's it. It is either the bolters or the missile launchers.
Oh wow! Okay.
Unless you get the Forge World ones, and they're just slightly different and made of
right. Yeah,
it costs more.
Okay, they do have a transport, the Venerable Land Raider, because it's old
and no one uses it.
Yeah, I was going to say, and whenever there's a list that comes out of like the worst units for each army, this one is it's hands down.
It's this one and the regular Dreadnought. Both of those are like, why?
Yeah, just don't do it.
No, you're better off.
I mean, you could put your troops in it and move them up the field, but Land Raiders are insanely expensive in the game, points wise, and for what you get out of them.
Especially with Custodes, you're point heavy off the top. So.
And the amount of protection a Land Raider usually in a Space Marine army, like you're the units that you really need to get up to do something, you put them in a Land Raider. Okay, it makes sense. But the Custodes, like they're so tough on their own, you don't need to spend points on a Land Raider to carry
protect the squishy things in the Land Raider.
Yeah, but we don't have any squishy things.
Okay, never mind.
And then yes, there is the standard Venerable Contemptor Dreadnought. This kit is not a great kit, sadly. So we talked about Dreadnoughts before. Most Dreadnoughts are Space Marines, but again, they do have some here for the Custodes, which is interesting. And essentially, when a Space Marine or a Custodian is on the brink of death, they can slap them into a coffin and force them to live forever inside of a box, inside of a robot. Yay. Even in death, service doesn't end. Now, there are various styles of Dreadnoughts. The most recent, the standard Dreadnought in Warhammer 40k is the one that looks like a box with legs and arms. It's a really dumb design. There is a newer one that came with the Primaris, but this Contemptor is the older design that is way better. It's taller, it can mount heavier weapons, it's stronger, it's just all around cooler. But Games Workshop kind of did this deal where you can get one in plastic, this one here, but the kit is very limited as to how much you can pose it. It only has a couple of arm options, and that's it. If you want to get a really, really cool one, you can go to Forge World, pay a lot more money, get one in resin, and you can do all sorts of customization and posing and buy a million different arms for it with all the different weapons.
It looks way cooler.
It looks so much cooler. But yeah, so that's basically the entire Games Workshop plastic line for this army. But
Yes.
But then we go to Forge World. So you can get all sorts of like fancy one-off models. So here's a shield captain, which again, you can make a regular plastic shield captain. You don't need this one for $50. That's out of stock.
No.
But if you really liked the look of it, then sure. He's got kind of a cool hairdo, I guess.
I like the spear.
Yeah, the spear's cool. It's ornate.
Other than that, it's just like, no, thank you.
Yeah, why are you spending an extra $12? Now, again, they have jet bikes, but it's a different style of jet bike. So if you really want...
I believe there's one basically just has a multi-gun on front of it.
Yeah, there are different weapon options. So this is the Geyer Falcon pattern jet bike. The other ones were Dawn Eagle jet bikes. You know, what are you going to do? If you want to spend a lot of money on these, you can. They don't look exactly like the Space Marine jet bikes, which is good. If you're not familiar with the the Space Marine jet bikes, they're usually referred to as dick bikes. Who knows? Who knows why? Why could that be? Who knows? But yeah, at least the Custodes ones look a little bit better. They have, let's see, yeah, some cooler Terminator options with all sorts of crazy weapons.
Which you may be able to find elsewhere, then they look cooler. I don't know anything about that, though.
So yeah, that's a thing that we've mentioned. We've mentioned it before, how Games Workshop likes to offer options and things, and some of them are exceedingly expensive. Sometimes things that go out of stock immediately.
Yeah,
like you literally...
Specifically with these Terminators, they have this. I'm surprised they were in stock. They've been out of stock for a long period of time.
Yeah, so things like you want to give Games Workshop your money, but they literally don't let you. And in many of those cases, I think it's perfectly acceptable to look for other alternative models to fill in your army.
Let me see.
And we may see such a thing in a moment.
I'm working on it. Give me a second. This takes time.
There's no rush happening.
This is not the easiest thing to do with just one monitor.
No, I get it. I've got a bunch of windows open with different programs trying to keep everything
I don't
straight.
know what I'm doing. There, now I shared stuff.
So let's do... Yeah, so look at that. Look at how cool that is.
And it's the same basic thing. It's a flamethrower. And they look right. I use purple because I'm kind of in a purple kick right now.
Purple's good.
But I mean, it still has a power claw. The best part about these particular models is that the arms are magnetized. They're pre-drilled for magnets. And even with the flamer itself, that entire thing is all magnetized. So
yeah, that's great.
It makes life really simple. And I also think they look better than the ones with Games Workshop. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
Sure. And how much less expensive were they?
If I remember correctly, the price listed is like what, $80-$90 for 3 from Forge World. I got these, which came in basically a set of 5. The bodies, the arms, you could buy whatever arms you want, and you can buy the heads you want. For 5 of them was $10 more.
Nice.
And I think that included shipping.
Sure.
So that also boils down to, it's something that I like the look of better. It's in stock.
Yeah.
In stock. It took a while for them to make it. And it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, unless, no one's really going to get in a snit about, well, that's not actually what they are. It's like, well, these are the only ones I bought. You can't confuse them with anything else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So,
no, that's great. That is super, super great. Okay. So then we've got the big boy Dreadnoughts. So you saw the previous Dreadnought. This one is a little cooler. Just a little.
And it really benefited from basically the update that they've done of increasing the range of the flamer. Okay, here's a cool thing you can do. You can spend a command point, and you can basically put that Dreadnought, anything with the Dreadnought keyword, onto a teleporter pad and teleport it in per the normal deep strike rules.
Ridiculous.
So it used to be that the range on that flamer was 8 inches.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing no one liked about it and why no one really took it was because you deep strike it in and it can't do anything.
Yep.
Until you charge. Now you can teleport it in and immediately start lighting people on fire.
Yeah, hose down people with the flame even before you get into combat. Yeah. Yeah, and so again, this is it's basically a larger version of what they all kind of do. It's got a giant sword, and yes, if you look down at the base of the blade, it's got a big old flamethrower attached to the sword, so it can fry things to a crisp before it walks up and cuts them into ribbons.
Yeah.
Again, a little bit more expensive. This one's almost $100. It is resin. You're going to have an interesting time putting it together. But again, like the way the parts work, this thing is super posable depending on how you want it to look, which is awesome. And then here it is sized next to one of the little dudes. But that's not even the biggest one.
It's also not the coolest one. The spear one, in my opinion, because right now it's currently sold out according to the website.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on here that's sold out, which is annoying to look at. Yeah, because then you can mix and match some parts for these.
Well, your balls fails. I'll hold it up. I can hold it up to the script in my webcam.
Oh yeah, here now I found the.
Yeah, no, it's so. I bought this one literally because it looks. To me, it looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't put it together because resin's still somewhat frightening to me.
Fair.
And also the handle is the haft of the spear got warped.
Oh
so
yeah, you gotta fix that. Sure.
Part of me though almost wants to cut it off at the warp, basically where the warp starts, and just use it as essentially, you have the swords that just have really long handles to them.
Yeah.
Just because that may, depending on where it is and how long the handle is, it may look cool.
Sure.
It may not, but it's one of those things where it's like, we'll figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only that, I could sit there and go, yeah, no, that's totally a sword one. I just didn't put the shield on it yet.
Of course. Yes. Give you a little bit more options when it comes to sitting down at the table. But yeah, so technically those are two different versions because of what weapons it's equipped with. Also,
the stat lines of it are, that weapon is, I believe, 2 times strength, and it's strength 7.
Oof, nice.
So it's a 4. So basically, it's like I'm going to go get like a 3 up. My wound on a night is like 2 or 3.
Yeah, nice. That's rad. But that's not even the biggest one because there's the Telemon Heavy Dreadnought, which also comes.
I want it. So if it was never sold, if it was ever in stock, I would buy one.
Yeah,
because it is.
And again, when it all comes down to the very basics, Warhammer is really all about the size of your shoulder pads.
Yes.
The more powerful you are, the bigger your shoulder pads are. And look at the freaking shoulders on this thing. They're enormous. Yeah, this is a rad model.
No, it is.
Honestly, for how big this thing is, $120 is not terrible.
No, and even size-wise, if I remember, it's hard to find the true height of it. But and even in comparison videos, it's very hard to see how tall it is.
Yeah.
But the closest I can determine is that it's almost 3/4 of a knight.
Definitely, yeah. If we look at this,
it's perilously close to being the size of a knight.
Yeah.
So I mean, cost wise, it's like it's not. Now, of course, it's a Forge World model and it's large, so those arms you have to buy independently.
Yes. So yeah, there are different arm options that you can put for this thing, and you got to put it all together. I think because the body itself is only 80. I think you can buy like this is basically like a kit that combines
that's the cost of both arms rolled into.
Yeah. And then obviously again like pose in, you can magnetize it so you can move things around. If you don't use magnets, you probably are gonna have to pin these arms because they're so big and heavy. That's a whole other fun thing you get to do. But yeah, this is a rad model.
Yeah, no, that is very much a difficult impulse buy resist for me, because not only that, if you wanted to, once again, those power fists are 2 times strength. I want to say that technically, if you get in close combat with a Warhound Titan, you may be wounding on 3s.
Crazy.
And it's like it's stupid. It's stupid, and it's stupid, silly, and I want it.
Yep. Yeah, and then this other version has the Iliastus Accelerator Culverin. So they made up all these ridiculous names
you want Punchy Fist, and you do the Superman Mission Impossible fist cocking thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That's how I want my giant dreadnought to be.
Now that's not even the craziest things, because you can get vehicles.
Good luck.
So for a mere $100, you can get the Palace Grav tank, and essentially it's a flying tank that looks like a freaking spaceship.
And it's, for its size, it is very difficult to justify spending basically $100 on it.
Yeah.
It's and fake and pretend lists that I've made, they're kind of useful, but you want to talk about Forge World prices, it's like, I can't.
Yeah.
Because if all else fails, you spend almost $100 on that, or you buy a really cool looking Spear Dreadnought.
Yeah. That's definitely going to be useful. This one, in some cases.
No,
but
it's handy. It's very much it's fast anti-vehicle is what it really is. It doesn't have any stat line degradation if you're talking about the meta stuff.
Yeah, that's always good.
But it's almost $100, and it's not very big.
No,
it's like, why does this cost $100?
Well, so that they can then start to justify the costs of the larger ones, like the Caladius Grav tank, which comes in 2 different versions for $140. And again, they're spaceships with big turrets on the back. They're spaceship tanks.
They were Grav tanks before they were cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, before the Space Marines got them.
And was like, I'm gonna put it on everything. It's like, no, you're dead before it was cool.
And again, just like, I don't even know what the weapons are on these things. Lastrum bolt cannon, exemplars of bolt weapon technology. This one has, what is this thing called? The Arachnus blaze cannon. Stupid.
Yeah, they have silly names, but are actually pretty interesting weapons.
Okay, then we get the Coronis Grav carrier. So you got to transport your troops around. You get this spaceship to do it in, which again has all sorts of more silly weapons things, give you a size.
And this one is very much again of, why do I need? It's like, well, we're going to protect the squishy things.
Yeah.
Where?
Our army has those squishy things.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is that you get models where you need to get them to faster. Well,
yeah.
Because of the way it's written, right now, the jet bikes can take objectives, and they're fast. So why would you need all of this huge hunk of resin to do that when you can? Yeah, that's where a lot of the Forge World stuff is. It either is the Forge World items are either must-haves or why is this here?
Yeah, because they look cool. That's why.
Yeah, even for most everything else, it's like, why do I need this? It's either quite literally, it's like, why do I need this? Or this thing is awesome, I need this. besides the fact that it looks cool. No, this thing is like actually really useful.
Yeah, so this one is, so we're approaching $200, but then let's go all the way. The biggest, the greatest, the Orion Assault Dropship, only $445, or the just murder version, the Ares Gunship. These things, it's just a spaceship.
These are quite literally spaceships.
Yeah. And they're super rad. Again, like the weapons it has, what is it? Some kind of an Arachnos something.
Yeah, it's supposed to have
Arachnus. Yeah, Arachnus Magna Blaze Cannon. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's also one of the only models that actually has different stats for when you shoot it from behind.
In this edition, yeah.
Yeah.
That used to be a thing for everything, but
yeah, because apparently the entire like engine core in the back is like exposed.
Sure, because that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, totally.
And then again, this version is the one that can actually carry troops because it has an enclosed section, somewhat fewer weapons, but it's a super cool model. It's huge. Did they talk about how big it is? I don't know if they give the actual dimensions.
Space-wise, I don't know, but if I remember correctly, it technically can carry one Dreadnought.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you didn't want to spend the command point and, teleport a dude in, you could throw it in the back of your dropship and cruise around town.
And why wouldn't you do that?
Because it's $500.
Yeah, and it's a brick of resin. Especially that middle part is just a solid brick of resin.
Yeah,
heavy also. So be careful when building. Yeah, good times.
Yeah, no. Sure,
so when are you gonna get all of those models?
No, I have my Spear Dreadnought. I'm happy.
Okay.
Which I even found a name for using the handy dandy naming your little geek book.
Awesome.
Written by someone named Scott Rubin.
Awesome.
No, it's actually it's oddly enough, I was literally going to call it Chiron after Chiron the Backstabber from Robotech fame. Because cool. It sounds cool, and chances are that Dreadnought's probably going to have a really bad attitude.
Yeah, so. I would imagine. Yeah, I can imagine most Dreadnoughts have that attitude. So
it's one of those things where it's like it sounds cool, and it's probably thematically correct.
Yeah.
So
Wombat, where are you in? So you have your Imperial Guard, you have your Custodes. What's next? Well, I mean, clearly, what's next is you just bought.
That's been sitting there for a while. My pile of shame is huge.
Okay.
Comparatively, it is a sizable pile of shame.
Okay.
I'm not that ashamed of it. It's just a pile of
shame. It's just a pile. Look, we all have them. They're just piles. Like I said, from where I'm sitting, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4 separate piles for different armies that I have.
Yeah, no, I can kind of do the same thing. Right now, what I'm really doing is, conveniently enough, let's talk about other things, is getting stuff set up for my Armies on Display project. So one of the things I have, where'd he go? I can't see him, but that's what you're not supposed to be able to see him because it's Tau stealth suit.
Right, your Tau stuff, yeah.
So yeah, I literally have an entire army of Tau. No joke, because I bought the Armageddon box.
Oh, nice.
So I have all of the Tau.
All of them.
Not really all of them. A significant amount.
A lot of them.
Of Tau. But,
sure.
I do have this guy who I've been working on. I don't know how well this is going to show up because.
Yeah, we'll give it a try.
It's painted black. Let me try this.
I'll make you bigger. There we go.
Wait, this isn't going to work because of my ring light.
Okay.
Trust me, it's not going to work. I'll post a picture of it and throw it in the Discord.
Sure.
No, actually, give me a second. It's on.
Okay.
It is one of the things.
You have a picture of it?
Yeah, because it's on. Because since I'm in my Twitters, and Twitters is everywhere, where I post all my stuff. All my stuff gets posted on my Twitter. Occasionally, I put it on my Instagram.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I've got an autumn. Nightbot is reminding people where they can follow you on the Twitters. In fact, Nightbot just did it twice for some reason.
Because it can. So that is the Tal stealth suit that I've been working on.
Very cool.
I need to get flocking for the base.
Sure.
So basically, my Armies on Display project is a Kelshan Sept Tau detachment is ambushing from a kind of a slightly wooded, bushed tree line area, ambushing an Imperial Guard unit that is basically dove into a dry riverbed.
Ooh, that's cool.
How to get out of that. So that is the stealth suit that I have, and I tried to do the whole kind of Predator cloaking thing. You know how the Predator.
Yeah.
So I tried to incorporate that effect. I'm pointing with my mouse. You probably can't see it.
No.
No.
You can see the.
Yeah, I'm trying to incorporate that energy field ripple effect. Like it may be being shot with las guns, and it probably is not actually penetrating the armor, but it should, in theory, disrupt the camouflage.
Yeah, and I love on this because, and again, this is the style that people do for their stealth things. But it's so cool, especially when you've got the really flat drab color underneath, because it contrasts so nicely with the camouflage, and then having that electrical shift in between. It's really cool. I think it's a really neat.
It's the handy thing about the Kelshan Sept is that they're black and gray. So
yeah.
And then let me go up a bit and find. Oops, what's going on? Stop doing that, mouse.
Cool. And I posted a link to the on Zardoz's blog about the Armies on Display. But yeah, it's a super neat project. I talk about it a lot because I'm very, very excited about it, because it's going to get me finally to paint an army. I have various painted models around, but not an actual painted army. And this is going to be the perfect project to do it with the community, do it together.
Yeah, that quite literally is why I started streaming, was to work through all these things that I have.
Yeah.
So share this again and run over here and run over to that and hit that button. So that is a Tau Pathfinder painted actually in what should be the Kelshan Sept colors.
That's cool.
With the big rail rifle. And then also right next to that is the Rest Stalker that I've been working on. It's, for some reason, I am very proud of the little things that I do.
Sure.
It was very hard to do that cog that way, the Mechanicus cog, because it's supposed to be half the skull is white and the other half is black, and then you do the same, reverse that.
Yeah.
And it basically came out correct.
Yeah, it looks great.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's very simple, but man, that's hard to do, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah. And the purple on the blades looks really, really good too.
Like I said, I'm really into right now a purple phase. I wanted to do it like the tradition. Traditionally those swords are supposed to be blue. I'm at the point now where it's like I don't fully want to do what's on the box.
Sure.
And a lot of people have done it in green because there's a lot of that kind of Necron weapon influence for things. So I was like, purple's different. There are some people who've done it, but it's not a very common coloration. So it
that's cool.
It looks great on the table. When you bring it up closer, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah. But it's also one of those things where it's like if it's on the table, it looks great.
Yeah, and it'll stand out from other models too. Yeah, models you're only supposed to paint models so they look good from 3 feet away. Otherwise, it's too much. Don't worry about it. You technically for your power weapons, you can paint them kind of any color you want and then add some sort of an effect to it. But it's pick a color you like and do it. Same for plasma weapons. Whatever kind of color you want on the coils, as long as it's glowing, doesn't matter what color it is. I've seen cool like orange and green and blue. Like it doesn't matter.
That's how I did my commissar, was with green. And once again, the stupidest thing about that commissar is that am I the most proud about anything on that? It doesn't look bad, but man, I did a really great job of highlighting the rock he's standing on. I'm very proud of very unusual things.
No, wherever you do, a good job. It's tough because and somebody else will probably look at that model and say, "Oh, it looks awesome," and maybe not even notice that one particular detail that you're most proud of. But you as the artist are always going to be the most critical.
Yeah, and it's something I'm having to actively work on. Is yeah, it doesn't look like the box, but you know what? Those guys get paid for a living to do that, and they have the practice to do that.
Yes.
So it's not the world's most valid comparison point. No,
right?
Just because I want to show off, and because I can. Because this model typically freaks people out when I actually no, it legitimately does because.
Am I going to be freaked out?
Well, it's kind of when you hear the story about what it is, and so this is my Valkyrie right now, and unfortunately, this was before I learned that you glue the model together before you paint it, not after. Needless to say, it had a critical deconstruction event.
Okay.
Mainly because it was secured to the paint of the model because I primed it off and put it together.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but this is the first vehicle I ever painted. This is probably after 2 boxes of Guardsmen.
Okay.
This is the first big model that I ever painted.
Yeah, that's crazy because it looks awesome.
Yeah, no. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I know there are flaws in it. I know there are things I don't like. This is the first big model I ever painted. So I need to stop. It's like I need to be kind of less critical of things.
Yes. I would say 100%. Yeah, this thing looks great.
Yeah, so I mean, you can see, like, when I painted the missile warheads, yeah, I track stuff over, and yeah, the weapons aren't bored out.
Yeah, who cares? But again, that's stuff that you would only notice when you're looking at it too close anyway. And again, it's easy. Believe me, I know. Because I take pictures of toys and miniatures for all of my projects and my reviews. It's very easy to take pictures that are too close. And again, at a scale where you would never be looking at it in person, and you would never know that those flaws are there. That's one of the things that I had to get very good at when taking pictures of, again, especially miniatures, is you don't take a picture super close up because then you're going to see every bit of dust. You're going to see every little bit of hair that's on there, any slight imperfections in paint. Yeah. You need distance for looking at these things.
And also, the funniest compliment I ever got was when we were in Texas at the Warhammer Cafe. I happened to show one of the guys who was working there, and he's like, "No, this is an awesome model no matter what because you did not paint the canopy." And actually, those guys are painted, and I even painted some of the buttons in there.
Nice.
So
see, that's amazing.
Yeah. And this is also why having a light box is handy for this next thing that comes up, is because it's actually sitting on the plastic stand for the Aeronautica Imperialis stuff.
Sure.
But because it's in a light box, you can use Photoshop trickery and take away the plastic stand, and it's
and now it's flying. Woo!
And now it's legitimately like, ooh, I'm flying around.
Yeah.
But yeah, painter's tape is the handiest thing you have if you're going to try doing straight lines like that.
Yes, yeah, there are various techniques. There's some people who do that stuff freehand. I'm like, I don't know how in the world. Yeah, like cross hatching and checkerboard stuff, and they do it freehand. Like,
yeah, no,
what?
I'm somewhat tempted to, when I actually get the knights that I bought, just for fun.
Yeah,
to see if I can do a checkerboard.
Okay, thing. All right. I know that on the website Goon Hammer, it's pretty cool. I know some people who have written for that site. They cover everything from like looking at new products to in-depth look at the meta, but they do a lot of articles about hobbying, and there's an entire article about doing like I said, doing cross hatching, doing hazard stripes, checkerboard, and they give you a bunch of different techniques for doing it, which is cool. And they talk to different painters.
Yeah,
so I would highly recommend finding that article.
I mean, if you have good, because they make specifically for mini stuff, painter's tape, which is what I use for almost all my straight lines.
Yeah.
So I mean, using that for like hazard stripes would be fairly straightforward. It's checkerboarding is a whole different. That's a different beast altogether.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things where it's like I want to try it. I want to see what it takes. So it's like one of those things where it's like, no, that was a terrible idea. I need to practice a lot more. Comparatively speaking, but
we'll get there.
Yeah, it's very much one of those things where you're not, unless you are literally a prodigy, it's going to take time to get better. And like I said, it's one of those things that I have problems realizing. So I mean, but it's like I've painted a lot now, and I'm way more comfortable now painting things than I was at the beginning of painting things. So
yeah. Okay, well, that's fair. So like I said, so Nightbot has been sharing links to your Twitter and to your Twitch. So when do you stream?
I stream Tuesdays and Thursdays during the week for like an hour after work from 4:30 to 5:30 Central Time. On the weekends, I normally stream 2:30 to 4:30, depending on how I feel, Central Time, both Saturday, Sunday. A lot of it will depend on how I'm feeling, because there are some days where work is busy. I'm not streaming tonight because I just had to solve the world's gigantic emergency, and I don't. Really, I'm not into it. I know lately my schedule has been very spotty, but some of that is because I'm not in the. It's one of those things where if you're not in a good brain spot and you try to stream, it's going to show, and then it's not going to be the most enjoyable.
Yes, 100%. And you need the energy, you need the mindset. I get it. I know all about that. there are streams I go back and I look at, I'm like, I should just not have streamed that day.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like, this for me, this is quite literally a hobby, even though I have to technically, I have tax stuff to worry about now because I'm streaming, and technically there's income coming in. So it's like, how do I resolve this? But this is not a full-time thing for me. This is because I want to have fun. I want to talk about what I'm doing to people who may be interested, and I want to work through a bunch of stuff that I have around that needs to get finished. So
absolutely, yeah, streaming is definitely good for that. For all these projects.
And it's like I can't go to the Warhammer store and paint things, so I guess I'll just do it from here.
Savage Punch brings up a good point. You could just not pay taxes.
The federal government frowns upon that heavily. The plus side is I actually talked to someone who does Twitch, who does actually financial advice for Twitch streamers, and he pretty much confirmed the fact of, hey, look, you're not doing this as a living. As long as you basically can justify business expenses to the amount of money you brought in, you'll be fine.
Sure.
You'll zero out. So I basically am now trying to figure out, okay, now what do I spend money on? So
any of your Games Workshop purchases. That's all.
Yeah, so it is. It's like this webcam that
materials.
I'm using that doesn't really work very well. Technically, is going to be a business expense for this.
Yeah. Your internet, because you need to do research online. That's part of your streaming. Write that off. Yeah.
No, that's most of it is like I bought stuff specifically to use.
Okay, cool.
On stream, so it's like that's streaming expenses. I'm not if I were to do this as a living. Oh yeah, I'd be like, I use my internet for streaming all the time. That's X amount of this. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm not that deep into this. I mean, the most I'll do is maybe I'll buy like a mini and be like, no, this is a business expense because I did it for the stream.
Sure.
I may use it after the stream, but
that doesn't matter.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna most likely end up buying maybe some nicer brushes soon with that.
Cool.
But yeah, if people want to stop by, great. If people don't stop by, great. You can watch me stream stuff and paint minis and put stuff together. Probably jet bikes soon because my Curse City box did not come in today. So
soon. It'll be there soon. And then you'll have a ton of stuff to work on.
Oh geez, yeah. But no, I'm looking forward to doing that and also looking forward to playing that because from what I've seen, it is a much cleaner, streamlined version of Blackstone Fortress for the better side.
Yeah, that makes sense. They've had some time to perfect that.
Yeah, no, it looks cool. So
cool. If you have any other things you want to plug or direct anybody to out there on the internet,
you should buy soap from Bubbles and Things because it's really good soap.
It's true. It's true.
I need to put an order in soon. I keep forgetting.
Okay. we have some new things we're working on too. I can't reveal anything, unfortunately, but there's some fun stuff in the works.
I believe it. You guys
both Bubbles and Things. So.
No, it's not an ad. I'm not sponsored by Bubbles and Things, but it's very hard to use normal soap now. After you use Bubbles and Things.
And we all use scraps from all this stuff.
Yeah, no, so, it's very much. It's not just me. I gave some to my mom, and she's like, "I need to buy more of this stuff."
well, we appreciate that.
Get your family members hooked on it. On occasion, cool. I will be on. I can't remember his YouTube now. I won't have to go look that up, but occasionally I will play some stuff that gets recorded for a friend's YouTube channel.
Okay. Cool.
I can't remember his name. It's @Lido on Twitter.
Okay.
He does other streaming stuff, but lately I've been playing a lot of Hunt Showdown with him and another guy. So occasionally I'll show up there and try to get people banned in Australia.
Cool. You can share that in the Discord. And if somehow you're watching this and you are not part of our Discord, join that Discord. I've got a room where we talk about all sorts of geeky stuff. There's a separate room for Warhammer. There's a show and tell room where you can post things that you're working on, your hobbies, places that you appear on the internet. It's all good stuff. A really good community.
If your camera works.
Cool. And then tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific, we'll be back right here on this channel. The entire Home Buddies group, like Voltron, we are all going to come together into one, and we're going to perform Aeschylus's Agamemnon tonight, another ancient tragedy. Ooh. And it's a juicy one. It's got some cool stuff going on. So that'll be tonight. It'll be very fun. And then there are rumors that afterwards we might get some late night Scott streaming.
Uh-oh.
So it could include some more limericks. You might get a chance to hear me try to read horrific, crazy things. So Scott After Dark. That's right. So tune in for that. So like I said, 7 p.m. Pacific, be here, and well, that's all I got. Anything else?
I'm trying to think, but that's kind of it. Unless you want me, okay. I can try to find more pictures to show off stuff that I painted. But other than that, cool. It's pretty much that's all the stuff I got. Occasionally, I will mention it's not all just Warhammer. Occasionally, I will build and paint. I will build more gun. I built a couple of Gundam kits. Yeah. I'll probably build a couple more because I like Gundams. They're giant robots. Sure. You can't stop me. At some point, I need to prime those Veritex that I got.
Yep.
I'm also now looking forward to trying to glue those little tiny head lasers on.
Yeah, they're very, very tiny, those parts.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. It'll be fun.
But
cool.
Yeah, it's mainly tune. If you guys want to watch me struggle with painting things, tune in. I'm getting better. I'm way better than I would used to be.
And I like when new people come in and then they make you stop what you're working on and go and find other models to show off.
Yeah, and it's part of the reason why my streaming setup is in complete and utter disarray all the time, because it's just all over the place. Because now I dig out and found some, because I was hoping my other camera would work. It's asking about everything, but I found my Christmas Chaos Challenge Mini.
Ooh.
Actually, wait. Now that I think about it, if I pick the webcam up, we're going on an adventure, everyone.
Uh-oh.
Whee! You can see my floor. So this was literally for... There we go. the local Warhammer store every Christmas will do a paint challenge where you literally stick your hand into a bag, grab random paints, and paint a mini. I literally grabbed 2 yellows and a green. And a green shade and Blood for the Blood God for technical paint. So I have this banana yellow and green Necron that basically looks like it had to carve its way out of like some worm that ate it and stained it yellow. So
now you have to do an entire army like that.
No, it's just the thing. I'm actually probably going to give it to my mom and as be a Christmas ornament.
Oh, that's cool.
That kind of works.
That works, yeah.
Because the trick is now I have to argue with this camera is lousy with autofocus.
Yeah,
even with the hand trick.
So many of them are.
But
it looks like an Urgul. Oh, there we go.
This is one of the weird things that I'm proud of because I tried to follow the instructions from Warhammer TV and failed miserably because I used the wrong paints.
Okay.
But after it came out, I was like, this actually looks cooler than what they did.
Yeah, that looks neat.
Because the muscle definition came out better. There was something else I had around here. Oh, the one thing I will always show off if I can find him. I have to find him because it's cool and I love it. Because, so in Blackstone Fortress, there is the Man of Iron, UR025. If you paint him by the book, it looks like a refrigerator.
A cool retro.
No, it doesn't even look cool.
Vintage.
It looks
refrigerator.
Awful. I hate it.
All right, fair enough.
This is going to be the one time I can't find him. Why can't I find him? I am so mad now because I love the model. Because the trick is one of the reasons why I like it so much. It was the first time I went completely off box. I did not follow any instructions out there. It was my own thing.
Well, if you can't find it, we'll look. You can post the pictures on the Discord. We'll definitely look for them there.
No, I can't find them. I'm now seriously unhappy. But
oh no,
because it's somewhere. It's probably underneath my phone, knowing my look. But I basically painted him to look like Maximilian from the Black Hole.
Yep, so good.
And it actually looks spot on. And
it looks great. Yeah,
it literally is probably the proudest model I have. It's the one I am like, no, I am happy with this model. No, seriously, where did you go? Cool. I'm kind of scared now.
Knowing Maximilian, it's creeping around your house. And,
I don't know. And I actually did. I did use some Blood for the Blood God on his power claw.
Appropriate.
Just to make it look like, he ate someone before getting here. So yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, I don't know where he is. I'll find him later. So okay. I put pictures of him everywhere. So
sure.
You can find him.
And yes, as Runer says, shout out to the Warhammer Texas trip friends, which was so awesome. Hopefully we can do things like that again in the future.
Yeah, because you got the new fancy store opening up soon out in California.
Soon. Not too far from me. Very excited.
I'm looking forward to that because I would like to go there, mainly because I want to go on vacation. I want to go on. I want a haircut.
Yes, that's the first thing. Haircut. It looks good on you.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
It drives me insane.
Well, that I'm sure. But
First step, haircut. Next step, I want to go. I have too much leave. I need to go on vacation. Okay. Even my boss is like, you need to go on vacation. Which my response was during my evaluation was, where am I supposed to go? And he was like,
that's excellent point. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out. Thank you so much for RabidWombat for being an awesome guest, having a really great discussion, looking at models, talking about all the things. We're going to raid someone that we've raided before, Shiro Senpai, who does really cool Warhammer model painting and other stuff. So I'm going to enact that command now. One of the words. So if you cannot make it tonight, then that's fine. Have a great weekend. Otherwise, I'll see you tonight for the Home Buddies group stream. And I think that's it.
That's all I got.
Okay, cool. All right, so we are going to raid now. I'm going to say goodbye. Say goodbye, RabidWombat.
Bye, RabidWombat.
All right, bye. Thanks, everybody. See ya.
Okay, everyone's keeping waving.
Yeah, press the raid button. It should be happening. Let's confirm.
It looks like it's rated.
Okay, cool.
I
You
wanna
never
stop
really
there.
know. Ed